What's going on, everybody? Triple Crown 24 back today, and the topic of today's video is going to be what a card is versus what a card represents. I have two cards I want to show off that I got in the mail today that I'm going to tie into today's topic. The first one is a gift. It's coming from your friend and mine, Mr. Bob Lewis, and it is, first of all, I always say it, but I'm very appreciative when anyone thinks about me when they see a Miggy card and then offers to send it to me. The time to take the time out to ask me about it, think of me, go to the post office, send it off, pay to have it sent to me. It means a lot to me, and I can never understate that. So Bob sent me this, and this is a pretty sweet card. This is a 2020 Topps Chrome Gold Wave Refractor, numbered to 50. So I told you what the card actually is, and I told you it's also really cool. I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you. More on this card in a minute. Here's the second card I got in. This was a purchase off of eBay. This one's going to kind of look gold. That's just kind of the way it pops on camera. But it's more so of a just refractor that's has a gold finish to it, so it's not a gold refractor. But this is the 2013 Finest Masters refractor. These were case hits, I believe, in 2013 Finest, and Finest has done this for many years now, where they'll take a past design and put it into a new release as an insert set. This is based off, I believe, 97 Finest. This year they did the 98 The Man set, and they put that as an insert set into 2020 Topps Finest. These are numbered to 50. There is no non-refractor version, so the refractor version here is the base, and the only parallel to it is the Superfractor 1 of 1. So again, I told you exactly what the card is, and I told you a little bit of background information about it. So those are what the cards are. Now let me tell you what the cards represent. This first one here represents generosity. It represents my friendship with Bob Lewis, who I've met through this community and I've become friends with. He's a fantastic member of our community, a great guy. He's also kind of tall, as I learned when I met him at the 2019 National. I had the pleasure of meeting Bob and hanging out and talking for quite some time. So it was cool to have that experience and get to know Bob better and become his friend and have the pleasure of calling him my friend. And that's what this card represents. It was gifted to me by him, and it's a lot more. Sorry, I'm getting a call that just popped up on my screen. It means a lot to me to have this card come from Bob, because if I had bought this card myself on eBay, chances are I wouldn't have remembered it. But to have it from a friend and know that's symbolic of our friendship means a lot to me. So thank you again, Bob. And then this card right here is representative of patience and the hunt, I would say. So this was a card that was listed on eBay for probably over a year at a auction format where the starting price was always a little bit higher than I wanted to pay, and then there was an even higher buy it now price. Eventually, the seller decided to change it to a fixed price format, and when I saw it was relisted in such a way, I jumped on it. So I made an offer, got a counter offer that was very, very fair in my opinion, and I jumped on it. Excellent packaging, very quick shipping, got it to me safe and sound, and now I have it. So this is representative of patience in the hobby to me. I also have a few friends who really enjoy collecting 90s refractors, or just they have player collections of guys who were primarily hot names in the hobby during the 90s, and some of their most prominent cards are 90s cards. So this is a reminder of those friends to me as well. And I kind of have a card now that's similar to the ones in their collections, which is really cool. So card here that reminds me of friends and reminds me of patience in the hobby and the hunt for stuff that is rare. I believe these were case hits in 2013 Finest. And then this is a card that is representative of friendship with someone who I've been able to meet through this great community. And that kind of ties into some of the cards that I pulled out for today's video. I do have a very small collection of slabbed cards and just cards in general that have special meaning to me, and it could be for various different reasons. So I have 4 cards here, and if you followed my channel or you've seen the videos where I've acquired some of these cards, then you'll know the story behind them, and some of them really speak for themselves. You can see all the flips here, so you know exactly what the cards are, but I think when I look at them right away, I don't really think about what they are as much of what they represent because they bring back memories to me. They have a story behind them. There's a reason that I have them. Now there is part of it is a catch 22, I would say, and it's somewhat of a paradox. So, for example, these 2 cards here, the stories that go into them, uh, this one is based on the price that I paid for it. This one is based on pulling it out of a pack myself. Now, I have bought a lot of cards for what I consider to be a good deal in the case of this one, and I've pulled a lot of cards from packs, including a handful of others in the same pack that this one was in. So, what exactly makes this so special? Well, part of it has to do with what the card actually is. Um, and that's part of what it represents as well. But at the same time, it wouldn't have been nearly as special, and it's probably cards that would have been moved a long time ago had they not had that special meaning to me. And these ones are a little bit different for different reasons, but they all 4 kind of have the same premise. And I don't really have to describe what the cards are or tell you what the grade is and dissect the condition with them to kind of show what they represent, which is really cool. And that's one of the things that I really do enjoy about collecting. It's something that I think can be applied to some of the trends that we've seen recently in the hobby. So I myself have kind of fallen into this trap of just scratching my head and wondering why the prices are the way they are on certain players who are largely unproven. And the example I'm going to use today, because it's probably the hottest name among them, is Luis Robert. And I've found myself in the trap of kind of asking, well, why is this guy's cards so sought after and why is he so coveted? Is he that good of a player? Is he really the real deal? And some would argue, yeah. For me, it's too early to say that. It's going to be several years before I can say, yeah, this guy is he's legit. And who knows what his cards are going to look like if that turns out to be. Maybe he's a one and done type of guy. Who knows? I really don't have an answer. I don't know much about the guy. I can't tell you. But I think one of the things that is very attractive about Luis Robert cards is more so what they represent. He is this idea of a player who has a ton of potential, who could be something great, a legend of the game. Some people will go as far as to say that. He's a guy to chase. When you open up the packs, he is representative of that chase card, the same way that back in what we now call the junk wax era, the Greg Jeffries rookie was the chase card for some people. And those cards still have a place in the hobby. I still hear people talk about them to this day. I still see them sometimes in like quarter boxes at shows just because they have that nostalgia to them for certain collectors who maybe grew up during that time or people who maybe didn't grow up during that time but were collecting at that time and they remember trying to pull those cards out of packs back in the late 80s. It's representative of that, and that's the reason that we're still clinging to those cards. Otherwise, nobody would ever mention them unless it was in some kind of obscure case. And we're at the point now in the hobby where I really do believe that Luis Robert cards are always going to have a place in the hobby. And it could be for one extreme or another. Either he becomes the greatest of all time and he everybody thinks, oh, I should have bought this back then. Kind of a Trout scenario now where we see a lot of people saying I should have bought an update rookie when it was X amount of dollars or whatever. Or it could be the other way around where he does become the next Greg Jeffries type, and everybody thinks, yeah, remember that guy? He was such a bust. I can't believe I wasted my money on him, yada, 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 all that type of stuff. Now, what's more realistic? Probably somewhere in between. I don't know exactly where on that spectrum. The 2 examples I gave right there are 2 very, those are the extremes, the ends of the spectrum, and I don't think either of them are very likely. I think it's somewhere in between, but where exactly that is, I don't know. Um, But the idea that he represents this blue chip talent and kind of the next big thing, I think, is what is so appealing about his cards. Is that when you open up the pack and you pull his card out, you set it to the side, and it's kind of that automatic thing now. Oh, I got a Robert rookie, putting it to the side. Let me put it in a sleeve and a top loader really quick, or put it in a card saver because I'm going to get it graded. And I think that's really the beauty of the hobby, and that's something that is really important to have as well. If you look at certain products that might still be on the retail shelves, I know a lot of you, including myself, have had the difficulty finding products on retail shelves. There are some products that I still see out there, and I kind of question, well, why are these packs still here when Topps Archives is something that I can't buy because I don't really consider Archives a product that you clear the shelves for in hopes to flip. That one is kind of a head scratcher to me. But people are doing it. So why are these packs still here if we're going to go after a product that is definitely it has a different vibe and a different, I would say, target audience to it with Archives. It's generally geared more towards collectors, I would say, with instead of focusing on the big hot names in the hobby, just maybe a general baseball appreciation with some of those fan favorite autographs guys who don't get cards in any other product type of deal. So that's kind of an interesting thing for me to kind of think about there. It's maybe because those products lack those players that have that appeal to it, that doesn't have that chase to it, so people don't really feel that excitement with it. They can't really attach anything to with it, because I feel that in general the hobby is an extension of greater things that we feel. It could be a way that we connect with sports, which is something that I would say pretty much everyone, if not everyone here who's watching this video, is a sports lover to some extent. Now, how hardcore you are, I think that's going to vary person to person. There might be some more casual fans here. There might be some people who maybe really aren't sports fans, but because they have that collecting gene in them. The values of the cards are something that really does appeal to them. Now, I'm by no means an investor, and I'm not someone who's going to start making investment videos. I think I've made my thoughts pretty clear on the whole investment side of the hobby before. And although I don't really advocate for that kind of behavior, I understand it to some extent, or at least I try to understand where those who engage in that kind of activity are coming from and what these cards are symbolic of to them. And I think that's something that's really important to understand. And watching videos lately in the past couple of days, I've been trying to do that more and more with watching people pick up their cards and what they get in and kind of figure out, well, what is this symbolic of to them? What does this mean to them? How can I kind of relate that to myself? What kind of card would this be for me? And that way I can kind of try to experience what they experience. And that's something that's really cool. It allows me to take pride in the collection of others and have a greater appreciation for their mail days beyond just seeing a cool card and letting them know it's a cool card. I can appreciate really what it means to them. That's something that happens a lot with super collectors, because I really understand the grind sometimes and finding a really rare card for your super collection. For example, there are cards like this one right here that I can show, and I know there's at least one person out there when I show this card, something is going to click with them and they know exactly who they are. And then like this card right here for me is symbolic of the 2019 National. And I had so many people come up and look at this card at the National, and they got to hold it, and some of them got to see me buy it. And I could really feel the appreciation that a lot of people had for it. This probably isn't a card that they're looking to add to their collection, especially because it's not cheap. This isn't a card you just kind of pick up on a whim. This is kind of the holy grail of my super collection here. And although it might not mean as much to them, they can appreciate what it means to me. And I think that is something that is really crucial in the hobby, especially right now. There's so many difference of opinions out there, but understanding what a card means to someone else, I think, is really big in the hobby. Just because you don't collect the same way doesn't mean you can't appreciate it and appreciate what it means to them. So just a little bit of, I guess, food for thought today in today's video. But yeah, let me know what you think about this subject in the comments down below. I appreciate you checking out the video. I'll be back soon with something new. And until then, stay safe, take care, and have a good one.